Oh gosh.
Welcome everyone to this exciting interview segment. Today we have the pleasure of sitting down with Alex Castillo, star of the Hallmark movie Head Over Heels. Alex takes on the role of Delaney. Join us as we delve into Alex's insights into her character and the challenges of filming this movie. Thank you, Alex, for being here today.
Well, my goodness, thank you so much for having me. It's such a
A
pleasure to
pleasure.
talk to you. And
For
you
me
have
too.
quite a fan base, just in Italy or all over the world? But
All
where
over
is
the
your,
world.
that's
All over the world.
fantastic. Yeah. Well, Hallmark does love stories.
Yeah.
That's their business, and that is the universal language. So that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's very nice to talk to you. Thank you.
For me
Yeah,
too.
I had a lot of fun playing Delaney. Um, it's a very iconic kind of powerful woman movie character. It's sort of a bit fantastical, not exactly like real life. I think generally women in power are more are less difficult to work with than perhaps Delaney was at first. But one thing that I think Delaney did well, or that the writers captured well in Delaney, is how women help each other. And this story is about two women, really. I mean, it's definitely Becky's a story, but who plays Addie Connors? I'm sorry, I'm talking about Rebecca Dalton, um,
Yes.
who plays Addie Connors, the star of our show. Um, and yeah, that was one of the best. Well, it was the very best part actually of playing that role, was um, being able to articulate in a movie what takes place in real life, which is how women cooperate and stand up for each other and help each other to get ahead.
Great.
Yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit about your character story in Head Over Heels?
My story?
Your characters.
Yeah, sorry. Well, she is Delaney Diaz is a designer who has had a great deal of success in her past. And she's sort of reaching this point in her story that that happens when women get a little bit older. They become, professionally speaking, I mean, become less of a commodity, and so she's struggling at this point to stay relevant and come up with something innovative. And she's got a terrible competitor who's, sort of not her nemesis, but is makes things challenging for her in her business. And so she is delighted actually to learn that Addie is I mean, as much as she's threatened a little bit, she's also very delighted to see that she is an intelligent, talented designer with innovative ideas that they can collaborate with to keep her brand relevant, but that way lift them up both together into a new phase of their careers.
Amazing. And what initially attracted you to your role in the movie? The friendship between them or something else?
Yes, I mean, to be honest, as an actor, you're always happy to work, no matter what. Really. Uh, that's the truth. But I don't say yes to every job, and this one was it was fun. I've never done a Hallmark before in this capacity. I have worked on a couple of Hallmark shows as a guest star and things, but not a full film. And it was good to be. I found it interesting that it wasn't the typical dynamic of the two lovers, the challenge that they have, usually the hot shot from the city and the man from the small town, and then the young woman is trying to decide between them and what she wants, and true love wins out. I like that we sort of strayed away from that traditional dynamic, and there were two women's stories that were at the top of the general narrative. Uh, Even though, of course, there's a love story, a wonderful love story between Addie and Austin, who is played by Olivier Renaud. And I don't know, that I like that it was just not the traditional structure of a Hallmark movie, which is wonderful in itself, but not a lot of place for a woman in her 50s to be in that prominence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm.
And what do you think makes this movie so special and captivating? And what do you hope audiences take away from watching this movie?
Well, I'd hate to be repetitive, but I do think that that's what makes it very unique. I do think that, the typical Hallmark story does have a lot of supportive women around the main character, right? The protagonist's journey of looking to sort out her personal life, her professional life, and her love life. There's always a best friend, some women around her, in her family, etc. So that's not unusual, but but in this one, I because it's two women who are at the forefront of the story. That's the part that I found unique and interesting, and what do I hope that audience would take away? Well, as always, one hopes that you will have a renewed faith in the possibilities of love and adventure, but also of your own success. And certainly I want to speak for Rebecca, but Addie's character is overwhelmed by this powerful woman who's successful and scary and has a reputation for being mean and judgmental. um, so, but she is not. She's intimidated, but she forges ahead and takes a chance and has has belief in herself. It's funny. A couple of days ago, I reposted a quote on Instagram that said, I don't even know who to attribute to, but anyway, it says, often courage, if you're doing it right, feels like fear, right? And
Yeah.
she is scared, but she forges ahead, and she does so with courage, and that is met with Delaney's support, because I think courage is rewarded, and not always, not by everybody, but it is something that is often recognized and honored.
I agree.
Yeah.
So, what was it like working with the rest of the cast and crew on set?
It was absolutely a dream. As I said, primarily Harry Styles, my daughter's cup that I've stolen from my coffee. Excuse me.
Sorry.
As I've already said, that Rebecca Dalton, Becky, is an absolute dream of a co-star, and we got along very well at work, but also away from work. We became real friends, and that's very special to me. That doesn't always happen. You often develop a nice relationship with people while you're working, but it's very contextual, and then you go away and live your lives. But this was very special for me to get along with her. And Olivier, of course, is a dream. I mean, he's such a talented, handsome man, full of personality and charm. And he's very funny. He's killer with accents. He does incredible impressions in French and Spanish. He speaks French and Spanish. Um, so we had fun playing around like that. And oddly, I ran into him just in my neighborhood a few weeks ago on the street. And that was a pleasure. So, sometimes it can be where you work with somebody and you sort of get through it. And then if you run into them, which you hope not to, you're like, okay, I hope they didn't see me. But this was a wonderful little mini reunion, So that was a real pleasure. And the crew was really, really fantastic. They worked so hard. On these films, there's a lot of material to cover in one day and only a certain amount of days in which to get it all. And, certainly at the helm of that is the director. The director sets the tone for the entire set, and the skill, the warmth, the patience, and the talent and leadership of our director, Samantha Wan, was really a big fan. She's a very talented, capable woman, and I can't wait to see where she goes next, her own filmmaking. So that was an absolute delight. But everyone else, from the first assistant director to the costume designer, the the boom operator who holds the microphone up here. Everybody has a story, and everybody's a filmmaker in some capacity or an artist in some capacity on their own. So, no, it's wonderful to get to work with people who are happy to be at work and
Yes.
who have other things going on in their lives. It always makes for a more interesting day.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah. So the last question about this movie. What
Yes.
was your favorite scene or moment while filming Head Over Heels?
My favorite moment of Head Over Heels. I don't. My God, there are so many that I'm trying to remember. I really, it's hard to capture because I just laughed so much with Becky. We danced and told jokes and just laughed the whole time. So there's a lot of things that were very fun doing. There's a montage of that you've seen in different films where the my character Delaney walks in and throws her coats everywhere. And I mean, I haven't seen the film, so I don't know if that montage actually made it in the film. But when you're doing those things, it's a bit tedious, to be honest, because there's no dialogue. You're not really moving the story forward. You're just creating images to put in the film. So it was a lot of changing my clothes and getting very hot and then having to do my hair. Okay, then I walk here and then we throw this coat. Then, so the construction of that montage wasn't fun. But once it was finished, I really, I sort of had a moment with myself going, that was fun. What do you relax? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
even that moment, which was one of the more challenging, I ended up actually really enjoying. If that makes sense. Yeah.
So, change of subject.
Yes.
Can you tell us about your time in the show, The Handmaid's Tale?
In which one? Oh, The Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah.
Is that what you said? Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, The Handmaid's Tale, that is absolutely one of my very best professional experiences ever. I am only in 2 episodes, and one of the episodes, it's a very small couple of short scenes that I do. But there's one episode that was very significant in the way that in the telling of the story, which I don't know if everybody's seen it, so I won't talk about it. But I played a lawyer, essentially, and I got to be opposite Elizabeth, Lizzie, and going head to head with someone of that caliber of talent, saying words of such enormous caliber, because the writing is of course incredible on that show, but also Elizabeth Moss directed this episode, where we confronted each other in a courtroom. And so even if everybody had been terrible, and let me tell you, no one was terrible, but even if everything had been terrible, the professional experience of being on that set, being directed by her, speaking those words, and getting to really act with her, that was an incredible gift. But on top of that, everyone was absolutely brilliant. Interestingly, in the green room that you have, where you sort of your cast chairs are, where you wait between setups, etc. So this is the space where the cast is generally together while you wait to shoot your scene. That was it was incredible. All of these very, very talented actors who come from all different parts of the world. OT is English. We've got Australians. We've got Joseph Fiennes is English, but he lives in Spain. And then, of course, we have Canadians who have very diverse cultural ethnicities anyway. There are various Canadians in those scenes, and so there were multiple languages being spoken, and just so many different people from different walks of life at such a high level of art production, being harmonious in this room together, for me, was truly, and being treated with respect by these people that I respect so much. That was a gift. That was really, hands down, the very best. Thank you for asking me about that. I hadn't thought about it in a long time. Yeah.
Really inspiring. And another project. What can you share about your time in the rabbit hole?
Oh, Rabbit Hole. My God, that was fun. Rabbit Hole was a very fun show to do. And I'm sad that we only had one season to do it. But, working with Kiefer was a real treat. He grew up here in Toronto as well, so we've sort of had some good chats about just life in Toronto. And I had done one episode of one of his other shows, Designated Survivor, but I hadn't worked with him in that. So this was the first time. And I don't know if people know much about his family. Certainly people know of his father, but his mother's family in Canada, they're very significant to the history of Canada in the establishment of public health care, which is something I believe in very much. And so, just for me, it was a thrill just to work with a great actor who's a nice person, who has this familial legacy on both sides, so that was fun. And I also got to play a little bit and got to know Sir Charles Dance, which was quite an honor. As much as he is an imposing figure, can be terrifying in film and television. In life, he's lovely, very, very charming. So that was fun. For me, my character is, well, spoilers are coming if you haven't seen the show. But my character basically throughout the series until the end. Have you seen it, by the way? Did you watch it? Yeah.
A little
You did
bit.
see it or you did not?
A
A little
bit.
bit. Okay. Well, there's a big reveal at the end about my character. So while we're filming, I mean, people knew it, but as you watch the episodes, you don't think my character is particularly significant. I'm the ex-wife of Kiefer, and that's it. And we share a son and whatever. But what gets revealed at the end is far more interesting. So for me, it was hard to keep that quiet. But I had a lot of fun. I got to do some really wonderful stunt training, which was very hard. I had a very injured shoulder at the time, so the physical stuff was very challenging for me, but a lot of fun. Yeah,
Great.
very different from Delaney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, another shows. What can you tease about your participation in the new show, Doc, the reboot of Italian
Oh,
Doc.
and Doc. Oh, yes. Yes, of course. That's based on a big Italian show. What was it called in Italian?
Doc.
Doc? No.
Yeah.
Anche Doc. Okay.
Nelle tue mani.
Doc nelle tue mani. Okay. In your hands. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was I just guest starred on the show. I'm not part of it. I just did one episode, and it was the second episode, but it was actually the very first day of filming. The very first scene, the very first time they're together was me. So that was yeah, and I had a big physical challenge to do in that. So anyway, that was fun. Very, very talented people on that show as well. Certainly thrilled to work with Molly a little bit, and Molly Parker stars in this show along with many, many other people, but a lot of my work was primarily with her. And yeah, I'm excited to see where that show goes. I don't know when it's coming out, but I hope it will be well received. Yeah, I had a wonderful time. And the producers of the show, Barbie Cligman, I had worked with her. I'd done a series with her 10 years before for ABC called Lucky Seven, which is a show based on an English show called The Syndicate, I think it was called. Anyway, so it was nice to have a little reunion there, and maybe we'll meet again. Who knows? Yeah.
So another question.
Yes.
What have been some of the most memorable projects you have worked throughout your career, and why for you?
Well, the most memorable are always the most memorable experiences are the ones that you take away friendships, or even just good memories of these temporary friendships. The experience of how you feel every day going to work. Sometimes it can be very difficult. A lot of challenges. Everybody has their own mandates, their own personal challenges, and sometimes they clash.
Yeah.
And sometimes, personalities clash too, and you're working in close proximity for very long hours. So that can be difficult. So for me, those experiences that are pleasant and enrich me personally, where I learn something, make a new friend somewhere else, those are always wonderful. Um, and, you know, as I said, The Handmaid's Tale is one I would have mentioned to you, but you asked me about it already.
Yeah.
That's been a thrill. Um, a film I did a very long time ago when I was very young, and had a very small part in, but it was a film called The Sixth Day, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I had a very, very small part, but because it was such a big production, um, there was I was part of a scene that was very complex to do. So it involved many, many days, long days working at night, even just to get out the very small amount, you know. So,
Yeah.
but the experience of that, maybe because it was one of my first big things, I got to work with Robert Duvall on that show, and I spent 3 or 4 days working at night with him because we were shooting in the public library in Vancouver. So it by necessity was a night shoot. So I got to spend many, many hours with him, and I'll never forget that. He was it deeply marked me to be with such an iconic artist of cinema, of storytelling, and have him be so warm and welcoming and kind and patient with a young woman with, you know, no real relevance in the film, and certainly none to him personally. I knew who he was, of course, as the world does, but he had no idea who I was. So that one really impacted me. The Handmaid's Tale, as I said, and right now I'm working on a series that I'm enjoying very much for similar reasons, you know, of just the people that you get to work with, people you admire from afar, who you have the honor of knowing personally. And sometimes, you know, there is this saying, don't meet your heroes, right? Never meet your heroes, because you can be so disappointed sometimes.
Yeah.
But there are the majority, actually, I think, is if you don't put people up on too high a pedestal, and you understand that they are just people, but you respect their work, then you have less less chance of being disappointed. But so on this show that I'm working on right now, I'm having that experience. It's great.
Amazing. So, a quick question. At Survival Shows, we are big fans of Christmas rom-coms.
Yes.
What is your all-time favorite?
My all-time favorite Christmas
Christmas?
rom-com?
Yeah.
Well, my all-time favorite film is It's a Wonderful Life. It's not exactly a romantic comedy,
My
but
Christmas movies.
there's a great deal of romance and a great deal of comedy. And it really is, for me, just the pinnacle of storytelling, of filmmaking, you know, as a visual medium, and of performance. I love it. So that's my favorite Christmas rom-com.
It's great. So, the last question. Can you tease something about your next projects?
Sure. So what I was referring to earlier, this series that I'm working on. Oh, did you hear that? I said series, and Siri from the computer in the background says, "Uh-huh. I'm not talking to you, lady." Anyway, so this show that I'm working on. for Netflix, produced by Warner Brothers. It's a 6-part show right now that will have a future, as far as I know, in an anthological way, where you have some elements of the first story that appear in the second and third series, but different story, different characters, you know. So, but this one is called Untamed, and it is essentially about the criminal activity that takes place in American state parks, big parks like Yosemite, for example, which is a famous one. The Grand Canyon, these big parks, Joshua. Uh, so this one is set in Yosemite Park, and it looks at the various kinds of criminal activity that take place. So trafficking of all kinds, human, drug, goods, murder, accidents, just that life. Anyway, it's of course tells a much more personal story. And at the helm of that show is Eric Bana. And he's the protagonist, who is on a bit of a personal and professional journey to make peace with his past in the park and figure out his future. He is park police, so yeah, that's what that's about. And I have my character is she works in the park as well at the big hotel, the big fancy hotel of the park, and she is lovers with this protagonist, and they help each other through some challenges. That's all I can say.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
but that's been a great experience. That is also stars Sam Neill, who I don't actually have any scenes with, but I've had the pleasure of having some dinners with, and he's really a lovely man. So that's that project. It's very exciting. I can't wait to see how that one works out. It's very, very well written, beautiful.
Amazing, great.
Yeah.
So this is it.
This is it.
Yeah. All of you make sure to watch Head Over Ears tonight on Hallmark Channel. And thank you,
Yes.
Alex, to join us today.
My pleasure. Thank you very much. And thanks for watching Head Over Heels on Hallmark. And are you going to talk to anyone else? Rebecca or Olivier? Maybe they're too busy.
For the moment, no.
No.
For the moment.
Well, I'm afraid all you get is me, but I hope that you enjoy watching it as much as I had,
It's a
as much as I
pleasure.
enjoyed making it. Yeah.
It's a
Piacere.
pleasure for me. Un piacere.
Okay. Ciao. Thanks for
Ciao.
your
Thank
time.
you all for
Bye.
watching. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.